My entitled parents want me to give my house to my brother. Part 1. The Backstory. My name's Ethan Miller, and I'm 32 years old. I've always believed that if you work hard, stay honest, and keep your head down, good things eventually come your way. That belief carried me through my 20s, through 3 jobs, 2 layoffs, and one dream that finally paid off: owning my own house. It wasn't fancy, just a 2-bedroom place in a quiet part of Portland, Oregon, but it was mine. Every nail, every coat of paint, every sleepless night budgeting to afford the mortgage, all mine. No one helped me. My parents couldn't. My younger brother Ryan certainly didn't. He was the golden child, the one who always got away with everything. Growing up, Ryan never had to face consequences. When he crashed my dad's car, they blamed me for not watching out for him. When he failed college, they called it bad luck. Meanwhile, I was expected to help pay bills while going to community college full-time. For years, I tried to ignore the unfairness. But that changed when my parents called me one Sunday afternoon with what they called a family matter. Part 2. The Confrontation. When Mom called, her voice was that soft, fake sweet tone she used whenever she wanted something. "Ethan, honey, your father and I have been talking," she began. That was never a good sign. Dad chimed in. "It's about Ryan. He's been struggling lately, and we think you could help him out." I leaned back in my chair. "Help how?" There was a pause, the kind where you already know you won't like the answer. "Well," Mom said finally, "you've done so well for yourself. You have that nice house and everything. Ryan and his girlfriend are expecting a baby, and they really need a place to stay. We thought, maybe you could let them have your house." I actually laughed out loud. "You're joking, right? Don't be selfish," Mom snapped. "Ryan has a family to think about now. You can always buy another house later." The room went quiet. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. They weren't joking. Part 3. The Refusal. I tried to process what I'd just heard. "You want me to give him my house?" I repeated, just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. Dad sighed heavily. "It's just until they get on their feet. You can move back in with us for a while." That almost made me choke. The same parents who charged me rent at 18 now wanted me to hand over the biggest thing I'd ever worked for because Ryan messed up his life again? "Absolutely not," I said firmly. "Ryan's 30. He can get a job and rent a place like everyone else." Mom gasped, like I'd cursed her out. "How can you say that about your own brother? He's about to be a father." "Exactly," I said. "So maybe it's time he acts like one." The silence that followed was thick with disbelief. Dad's voice hardened. "We raised you better than this, Ethan. Family helps family." "Funny," I said. "I don't remember anyone helping me when I was eating ramen for 6 months." That's when Mom hung up. Part 4. The Pressure Builds. The next week was pure chaos. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing, calls from Mom, Dad, even texts from Ryan, filled with guilt trips and passive-aggressive lines like, "You've always had it easier, bro." Enry 20 and day. Easier? I'd worked 2 jobs to save for that down payment while he partied through his 20s. Then Mom started bringing in the relatives. My aunt called to say I was being cold-hearted. My cousin sent a Facebook message about bad karma. It was like a coordinated attack. By Friday, Dad showed up at my house unannounced. He stood on my porch, arms crossed, looking like a disappointed principal. "Son," he said, "your mother's been crying all week. Ryan's desperate. His girlfriend's due any day now." I stayed calm. "I'm not giving him my house, Dad." He scowled. "You're choosing money over blood." "No," I said quietly. "I'm choosing self-respect over manipulation." He left without another word, but his parting glare said it all. This wasn't over. Part 5. Ryan's Visit. A few days later, Ryan showed up at my doorstep. No call, no text, just the sound of his beat-up car pulling into my driveway. I almost didn't open the door, but curiosity got the better of me. He stood there in a wrinkled hoodie, hands shoved in his pockets, looking half embarrassed and half entitled. "Hey, man," he started, forcing a grin. "Can we talk?" I let him in, but the air between us was heavy. He looked around the living room, whistling softly. Nice place. Real cozy. I waited. Look, he said finally. Mom and Dad told me you're being kinda stubborn about the house thing. I laughed bitterly. You mean about giving you the one thing I've worked for my whole adult life? He sighed. Come on, Ethan. I'm trying to start a family. You don't even have one yet. You'll bounce back. That's not how it works, Ryan. You don't get rewarded for being irresponsible. His face hardened. Guess I shouldn't have expected help from my perfect brother. He slammed the door on his way out. Part 6. The ultimatum. For a few weeks, things went quiet. I thought maybe they'd finally accepted my decision. I was wrong. One evening, I came home from work to find my parents' car parked in my driveway again. Mom was sitting on my porch steps, crying. Dad stood behind her, arms folded, the human embodiment of guilt. Ethan, Mom said tearfully, we didn't want it to come to this. But Ryan and his girlfriend are being evicted. They have nowhere to go. Please, just let them move in. I clenched my jaw. They can stay for a few nights, I said carefully. But that's it. This isn't their house. Dad's tone sharpened. Either you do the right thing, or don't expect us to stand by you anymore. I stared at him. You're threatening to cut me off emotionally because I won't hand over my house? Mom sniffled. You're being cruel. I felt something inside me snap. No, I said. I'm just done being used. They left in silence, but I could feel the war lines had been drawn. Part 7. The breaking point. 2 nights later, I came home late from work and froze. The lights were on. Voices echoed inside my house. I opened the door and found Ryan and his girlfriend in my living room, surrounded by boxes. My couch, my TV, my space, all taken over. What the hell is this? I shouted. Ryan barely looked up. Mom said you'd come around eventually. We moved in. Moved in? Without asking me? He shrugged. We didn't have a choice. You've got plenty of room. My blood boiled. You broke in, Ryan. That's illegal. His girlfriend crossed her arms. You'd really kick out your own niece? Before she's even born? That did it. I pulled out my phone. You've got 5 minutes to get out before I call the cops. Ryan's smugness vanished. You wouldn't. I dialed anyway. Watch me. By the time the police arrived, my brother was gone, along with the little sympathy I had left for him. Part 8. The resolution. The next morning, my phone exploded with messages from my parents. How could you do that to your brother? You humiliated the family. We don't even recognize you anymore. I blocked them. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. A few weeks passed in silence. Then a letter arrived handwritten from Dad. Inside, he said they'd reconsidered things. Ryan had moved 2 states away after being evicted again, and they realized maybe they'd enabled him for too long. It wasn't quite an apology, but it was something. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I sat on my porch that evening, watching the sun dip behind the trees. My house, stood quiet and peaceful. Every wall, every creak, every bit of chipped paint reminded me of what I'd earned. Maybe family was supposed to mean unconditional love, but I'd learned something more important. Love doesn't mean surrendering your life to someone else's mistakes.